The old house on Brindle Hill had been abandoned for 30 years. Its windows were clouded, its roof half collapsed, and the locals whispered that strange lights had been seen there on moonless nights. But to Daniel Cross, it was just cheap property, exactly what he needed to start over after losing everything in the city. He wasn't afraid of creaking floors or ghost stories. He was afraid of failing again. So, when the realtor handed him the rusted key and said, "Don't go into the basement," Daniel had just laughed. That was his first mistake. One, the house with secrets. It took Daniel 3 days to move in, clean up, and make the house livable. He patched the walls, fixed the wiring, and ignored the uneasy feeling that the house seemed to breathe when the wind howled. On the fourth night, while repairing the warped wooden floor in the living room, his hammer struck something hollow. He frowned. The boards in that section were thicker, newer than the rest, as if someone had replaced them recently. He pried one loose. Beneath it, a layer of dust-covered metal reflected his lantern's glow. What the hell? It was a hatch. Small, circular, sealed tight. Curiosity burned through him. He fetched a crowbar and forced it open. The hinges screamed, and a cold, metallic smell of rust and chemicals wafted up. A narrow shaft descended into darkness. Daniel hesitated, then lowered the lantern inside. That was when he saw her. Too, the girl in the cage. She was curled up in a cage no larger than a coffin. Her skin shimmered faintly under the light. Pale blue, marked with lines that looked more like circuitry than veins. Her hair, silvery and tangled, spilled around her like liquid light. Her body was covered in thin scars, some fresh, some old and jagged. For a moment, Daniel thought she was dead. Then her eyes flickered open. They were bright, crystalline, and full of terror. She flinched from the light and spoke in a voice that was barely a whisper, soft, broken, and strangely melodic. "Please, not again." Daniel froze. His throat went dry. I'm not going to hurt you," he stammered. "Who did this to you?" She didn't answer, only shrank back, clutching a metal bar that had once been part of the cage's door. He tried to open the latch, but it was fused shut with some kind of alloy he didn't recognize. Her gaze darted between him and the lantern, as if studying whether he was real. Then she whispered something else, slowly, in halting English. "You human?" He nodded. "Yeah. Name's Daniel. Who are you?" She hesitated, then said softly, "They call me Alara. 3, the prison beneath." Over the next few hours, Daniel worked to free her. The locks were complex, alien, literally. Sparks flew as he tried to cut them with his tools. When the final lock broke, the metal cage hissed and released a puff of cold vapor. Alara flinched, trembling. He offered her his hand. She didn't take it right away, but after a moment, she slowly placed her cold, thin fingers against his palm. Her touch sent a shock through him, not pain but energy. The lantern flickered, as if reacting to her. He helped her climb out, noticing the faint metallic seams along her shoulders and neck. She wasn't human, not completely. Her breathing was shallow. "Who did this to you, Alara?" She stared into the shadows. "Humans, long ago. Scientists. They called this place Station 9. Daniel frowned. "This is just a house." She shook her head. "It was never a house. It was a lab. They brought me here after my ship crashed. They studied me for years." Daniel's heart pounded. The government had declassified alien contact decades ago, but only rumors remained. Could she really be one of them? He swallowed hard. "How long have you been down there?" Alara's voice trembled. "Time doesn't work the same when you're alone." For the return, over the next few days, Daniel nursed her back to health. She ate little, only light, literally absorbing sunlight through her skin. She slept curled up near the window, trembling at every sound. He tried to keep things normal. Made coffee, fixed the leaking roof, pretended he didn't see the faint glow under her skin whenever she was afraid. But strange things began to happen. His phone stopped working. The radio picked up static whispers. And every night, blue light flickered under the floorboards again, like the house itself was remembering. Then one night, he woke to find Alara standing in the hallway, staring at the ceiling. "Alara!" She turned, eyes glowing faintly. "They found us." Before he could ask who, the house shook with a deep rumble, followed by a flash outside. Through the window, Daniel saw lights descending from the clouds, sleek black drones with human markings. Government ships. 5, the hunters. They surrounded the property in minutes. Daniel heard metallic click of boots and saw red lasers sweep across the yard. "Alara," he whispered, "what do they want?" "Me," she said quietly. They never stopped looking. He stared at her, torn between fear and disbelief. If I give you up, will they leave me alone? She looked at him then, her eyes full of something ancient and sad. That's what the last human said. He froze. Outside, a voice boomed through a loudspeaker. This is Commander Holt of the Terran Security Division. Step outside immediately. Surrender the asset, and you will not be harmed. Daniel looked at her. Asset? They mean you. Ilara's hand shook. They built machines for my blood. Weapons that could bend matter. They won't stop until I'm gone. Then we run, Daniel said. She shook her head. They'll kill you. He grabbed his jacket. I already lost everything once. I'm not losing you too. 6, the escape. They burst through the back door as drones swooped overhead. Beams of light cut across the trees. Ilara stumbled, her legs still weak. Daniel lifted her arm over his shoulder and half carried her into the woods. Keep moving, he gasped. There's an old tunnel by the river. A plasma bolt exploded nearby, throwing them to the ground. Ilara cried out in pain, her shoulder glowing where the shot grazed her. Daniel dragged her behind a fallen tree. You okay? She bit her lip and nodded. I can heal, but not fast enough. He looked around desperately. There's nowhere to hide. Her trembling hand touched his chest. There's one place. She closed her eyes, and suddenly the air hummed. The ground beneath them shimmered, turning translucent. Daniel's stomach lurched as they sank through the earth, enveloped in a cocoon of light. When the glow faded, they were in darkness again. An underground chamber, ancient and alien. What is this? Daniel whispered. My ship, she said weakly, buried beneath the house. 7, the last flight. The chamber lit up as she touched a panel. Metallic vines unfolded, wrapping gently around her wounds. I can leave, she whispered, but the system is damaged. It needs an energy source. Daniel hesitated. What kind? She looked at him, eyes wet. A living one. He realized what she meant. No, there has to be another way. They'll find us soon, she said softly. And if they capture me again, they'll use me to destroy more worlds. You can stop that just once. He clenched his fists. You think I'd just let you die? She smiled faintly. I think you're the kind of man who saves people, even if it breaks you. Above them, explosions rocked the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. Daniel took a deep breath. What do I have to do? She guided his hand to the glowing core of the ship. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Just stay, she said. It will take what it needs. He nodded once. Then do it. 8, the light. The core flared as Ilara pressed her palm over his heart. Pain lanced through him, a bright, searing pain, but beneath it, something else. Peace. She whispered something in her language, a melody that sounded like a farewell and a prayer. Her body began to glow brighter, merging with the ship. Daniel, she said, voice fading, thank you for seeing me as more than a monster. He tried to speak, but the light swallowed everything. 9, aftermath. At dawn, the drones found only a crater where the house had stood. The earth was scorched, but in its center lay a single object, an alien crystal glowing faintly blue. Inside it, 2 figures were frozen together as if asleep, one human, one alien. The agents called it a containment relic. The government locked it away in a vault, labeling it Project Crosslight. But sometimes, late at night, when the guards passed by, they swore they saw the crystal flicker, like a heartbeat. And if you stood close enough, you could almost hear a whisper echoing inside.